Retirement is often painted as a victory lap, the phase of life when alarm clocks are tossed aside, daily pressure melts away, and the money you spent decades building finally starts pulling its own weight. It's supposed to be the reward at the end of a long road. However, there's a hard reality many people don't confront until it's too late. Retirement doesn't automatically become more affordable just because your working years are over. In fact, depending on where you live in the United States, it can actually cost you more. All across the country, millions of retirees fall into the same trap. They pick a state for its sunshine, beautiful views, or popular reputation, without noticing how certain expenses quietly and steadily chip away at a fixed income. Home prices that refuse to cool off, property taxes that don't offer discounts just because you've reached retirement age, income taxes that continue dipping into pensions and retirement accounts year after year. When you layer on rising insurance premiums, utility costs, and grocery bills, what once seemed like a solid retirement plan can quickly turn into ongoing financial pressure. By the end of 2025, these challenges have only grown more intense. Housing costs remain historically high in many parts of the country. In several states, the cost of living has risen faster than inflation, while tax systems have barely evolved to match the realities retirees face today. That's why knowing which states are the worst places to retire in the U.S. is no longer a nice to know. It's a necessity. In this countdown, we'll break down 10 states that may look ideal for retirement at first glance, but quietly drain savings over time. This isn't based on opinions, assumptions, or outdated stereotypes. It's grounded in real housing data, actual tax policies, and concrete cost of living figures that affect retirees month after month. By the end of this video, you'll clearly understand which states can turn retirement into a financial trap, and why the true cost of living by state matters now more than ever. Number 10. Alaska. At first glance, Alaska can feel like a retirement loophole hiding in plain sight. There's no state income tax, Social Security isn't taxed, and pensions or retirement account withdrawals stay untouched by the state. On paper, it looks like a dream scenario for anyone trying to make their savings last. But Alaska doesn't drain your wallet through taxes. It does it through the sheer cost of getting by. The first wake-up call is housing. As of late 2025, the average home value in Alaska sits in the mid-$300,000 range. That figure might seem reasonable at first, but it's only the beginning of the financial picture. Utilities quickly change the math. Alaska consistently ranks among the most expensive states in the country for energy costs. Long, unforgiving winters mean heating isn't a choice, it's a necessity, and monthly utility bills often soar well above the national average. For retirees living on a fixed income, those costs quietly eat away at savings just to keep the home livable. Food expenses deliver another jolt. Because most products have to be shipped or flown in, everyday groceries come with noticeably higher price tags. Items like fresh fruits, vegetables, milk, and meat aren't luxuries, but they're priced as if they were. Even retirees who plan carefully often find that grocery bills alone feel never-ending. Transportation adds yet another layer of expense. Alaska doesn't top the charts for car insurance rates, but keeping a vehicle running in extreme conditions is costly. Snow tires, frequent maintenance, and damage from rough, icy roads turn car ownership into a constant financial commitment rather than a simple convenience. Alaska isn't difficult on retirees because of its tax laws. It's challenging because of its geography. The state favors people who can manage extreme weather and unpredictable costs. For retirees relying on fixed incomes, however, Alaska often becomes a place where money slips away far faster than anticipated. Number 9. Vermont. Vermont often feels like it was designed for retirement brochures. Peaceful small towns, rolling mountains, and a calm, unhurried lifestyle that seems far removed from the chaos of big cities. But beneath that charming surface, Vermont has a way of steadily wearing down retirement savings, so gradually that many people don't realize what's happening until years have passed. Housing is usually the first red flag. By the end of 2025, the typical home price in Vermont sits in the upper $300,000 range. That number alone doesn't sound alarming, but the reality is that many homes at that price point are older. Older houses come with aging heating systems, insulation issues, and higher maintenance needs. When Vermont's long, harsh winters arrive, heating becomes a major expense. Fuel oil and propane costs can surge for months on end, turning winter into an annual financial strain rather than just a cold season. Property taxes add ongoing pressure. Vermont consistently ranks among the states with higher property taxes, and retirees feel that burden year after year. Unlike a mortgage, property taxes never end. They stay with you for as long as you own the home, no matter how much your income shrinks once you stop working. Income taxes create another surprise. Vermont taxes most forms of retirement income, including withdrawals from IRAs and 401k accounts. While Social Security benefits may be partially exempt depending on income, many middle-class retirees still end up paying more than they anticipated. When you combine that with Vermont's overall cost of living, which remains above the national average due to housing, utilities, and limited competition for goods and services, the financial picture becomes clearer. Life in Vermont is undeniably calm and scenic, but it comes at a price. This isn't a place where finances collapse overnight. In some ways, that makes it worse. Vermont is a state where costs quietly stack up year after year, slowly tightening the squeeze on retirement savings. Number 8. Illinois. Illinois often lands on retirement shortlists for a very simple reason. Housing appears affordable. Compared to many coastal states, home prices can look downright reasonable, and that initial impression gives retirees a false sense of security. But Illinois doesn't squeeze your finances right away. Instead, it slowly wears them down over time, through one of the harshest property tax systems in the country. As of the end of 2025, typical home values in Illinois are still below the national average. That's the lure. The catch comes later, in the form of property taxes that rank near the top nationwide. In many counties, effective property tax rates sit just above 2%. Even a modestly priced home can come with tax bills so large they feel like an extra mortgage payment. And unlike a mortgage, those payments never go away. To be fair, Illinois does have one clear advantage for retirees. The state does not tax retirement income. Pensions, IRA withdrawals, 401k distributions, and Social Security benefits are all exempt at the state level. On the surface, that sounds like a major win. This is where the illusion sets in. Many retirees assume the tax break offsets everything else. Over time, however, the relentless property tax burden often cancels out, or even surpasses, the income tax savings. Outside of major metropolitan areas, Illinois has a fairly moderate cost of living. But retirees who settle closer to Chicago face higher housing prices, steeper insurance costs, and a growing list of local fees. Municipalities rely heavily on property taxes to cover long-term pension obligations, and homeowners are the ones footing the bill. Illinois isn't expensive in flashy or obvious ways. Its costs are built into the system. Once you put down roots, the financial pressure doesn't fade. It becomes a permanent part of the retirement equation. Number 7. Maryland. Maryland often comes across as affluent, orderly, and well-maintained, especially in and around the Washington, D.C. metro area. That polished image, however, comes with a cost that retirees feel more than most. Maryland is a state where multiple taxes stack on top of each other, gradually shrinking retirement income from several directions at once. Housing prices set the tone early. By the end of 2025, the typical home in Maryland is valued above $400,000, with prices rising quickly the closer you move toward Washington, D.C. Many retirees assume downsizing will ease the financial burden, but that relief doesn't always materialize. Even smaller homes can carry hefty price tags in desirable areas, limiting how much equity you can actually free up. The larger concern is income taxation. Maryland taxes retirement income, including pension payments and withdrawals from retirement accounts. On top of the state income tax, many counties add their own local income taxes. This layered system means retirees are often taxed twice on the same dollar, even as their income becomes fixed and less flexible. The overall cost of living in Maryland remains above the national average, driven by high housing costs, insurance premiums, and everyday services. Utilities, healthcare expenses, and transportation costs in dense metro regions apply steady pressure to monthly budgets. Car insurance rates rank among the higher tiers nationally, and constant traffic turns routine errands into time-consuming and expensive outings. While Maryland does offer certain tax breaks for retirees, they tend to be limited and phase out quickly as income rises. For many middle-class retirees, those benefits sound far more generous on paper than they feel in real life. Maryland doesn't drain retirement savings recklessly. It does it systematically. Small amounts are taken from multiple angles, and over time, those losses quietly add up. Number 6. Connecticut. Connecticut is often promoted as polished and dependable, with strong public services and easy access to major economic hubs. For retirees, though, the state can feel more like a financial pressure chamber. Expenses run high, taxes stack on top of one another, and very little gets easier once the paychecks stop. Housing puts immediate strain on retirement budgets. By the end of 2025, the typical home price in Connecticut sits in the low $400,000 range. That number might sound workable at first, but the real impact shows up when property taxes are added in. Connecticut consistently ranks among the states with the highest property taxes in the country, and those bills arrive every year regardless of whether your retirement income has gone up or down. Income taxes deliver another blow. Connecticut taxes most forms of retirement income, including pensions and withdrawals from retirement accounts. Social Security benefits can also be taxed once income crosses certain thresholds, catching many retirees off guard who assumed those payments were fully shielded. Utilities represent a major hidden expense. Electricity and heating costs in Connecticut rank among the highest nationwide. Long, cold winters combined with an older housing stock mean retirees often pay steep monthly bills just to keep their homes comfortable. Over time, those recurring utility costs quietly drain savings far more than people expect. Transportation expenses offer little relief. Even though cities like Hartford aren't massive, limited alternatives and parking costs push many retirees toward car ownership. Higher than average insurance rates and ongoing road wear add to the financial load. Connecticut isn't costly because of luxury living. It's expensive by design. Housing, taxes, and utilities all pull in the same direction, steadily tightening the squeeze on retirement finances. Number 5. New Jersey. New Jersey is often the place where retirees discover, a little too late, that owning a home doesn't mean you actually control what it costs you. The state holds a distinction that matters more than almost any other when it comes to retirement planning: the highest property taxes in the entire country. Home prices alone can be daunting. By the end of 2025, typical home values in New Jersey sit well above the national average. But the real financial strain begins after the purchase is made. Property tax rates frequently top 2%, and in many counties, annual tax bills climb into 5 figures. For retirees, this turns homeownership into a lifelong financial commitment rather than the stable, predictable asset they expected it to be. Income taxes compound the problem. New Jersey taxes most forms of retirement income, including pensions and withdrawals from retirement accounts. Although exemptions exist, they phase out quickly, leaving many middle-income retirees with little meaningful relief. Every withdrawal from savings can trigger yet another reduction in take-home income. Everyday expenses offer no cushion. Insurance premiums are high, utility costs are elevated, and toll roads make even routine travel more expensive than expected. Those small charges accumulate steadily over the course of a year. Unlike during working years, retirees can't make up the difference with higher earnings. New Jersey does provide outstanding access to major cities, top-tier healthcare, and cultural amenities, but retirees pay a premium for that convenience. The state is built to collect revenue continuously, and homeowners shoulder much of that burden. In New Jersey, retirement rarely feels like financial freedom. It often feels like you're renting your own home from the state, indefinitely. Number 4. Oregon. Oregon proudly markets one headline advantage: no sales tax. For many retirees, that sounds like an immediate win. But what the state gives up at the checkout counter, it aggressively recovers elsewhere, through one of the highest state income tax systems retirees encounter. Housing costs establish the financial tone. By the end of 2025, typical home values across Oregon sit just under $500,000, with significantly higher prices in and around Portland. Even retirees who purchased their homes years ago aren't insulated from rising expenses, as maintenance costs, insurance premiums, and local fees continue to climb year after year. The bigger problem, however, is income taxation. Oregon taxes most forms of retirement income, including withdrawals from IRA and 401k accounts. Top marginal tax rates approach 10%, meaning a noticeable share of every withdrawal disappears before it ever lands in a checking account. While Social Security benefits are exempt, retirees who rely heavily on investment income feel the impact immediately and repeatedly. Oregon's overall cost of living stays above the national average. Utilities, healthcare, and transportation expenses apply constant pressure, especially in urban and suburban areas. Insurance costs have risen, and a growing list of local fines and fees quietly makes everyday life more expensive than many retirees anticipate. There's no denying Oregon's appeal. The state offers striking natural beauty, walkable communities, and a strong sense of local culture that draws retirees in every year. But from a financial standpoint, Oregon can be unforgiving. Fixed retirement incomes don't rise the way taxes and expenses do. Oregon highlights a tough reality. Skipping sales tax doesn't mean much when income taxes steadily drain retirement savings instead. Number 3. Massachusetts. Massachusetts is widely known for quality. World-class healthcare, highly regarded schools, and historic cities give the state a reputation for being a smart, dependable place to settle down. For retirees, though, the financial reality is far more demanding than most people anticipate. Housing dominates the conversation. By the end of 2025, typical home values across Massachusetts climb well past $600,000, with prices soaring even higher in and around the Boston metro area. Many retirees assume downsizing will ease the burden, but that relief often doesn't materialize. Smaller homes and condos frequently come with hefty price tags, along with ongoing HOA and association fees that quietly add to monthly costs. Taxes apply steady pressure. Massachusetts taxes most forms of retirement income, including pensions and withdrawals from retirement accounts. While Social Security benefits are exempt, many retirees still see a noticeable portion of their income reduced year after year. Property taxes aren't the highest in the nation, but elevated home values mean those bills remain substantial. The overall cost of living in Massachusetts ranks near the top nationwide. Utilities, healthcare, and everyday services cost more here than in most states, and cold winters bring additional heating expenses that stretch fixed incomes thin. Transportation in major metro areas introduces its own set of costs, including parking fees, higher insurance rates, and countless hours lost to traffic. Massachusetts delivers consistency and access to excellent services, but that reliability comes at a price. The state offers little meaningful cost relief once you stop working. Expenses stay tied to earning year income levels, not retirement realities. For retirees, Massachusetts isn't chaotic or careless. It's simply demanding, and over time, that demand can become too much to sustain. Number 2. California. California sells one of the most compelling retirement dreams in the country. Endless sunshine, a relaxed coastal lifestyle, and mild weather year-round make it incredibly attractive on an emotional level. But when it comes to finances, California is one of the harshest states a retiree can choose. Housing alone completely changes the retirement equation. By the end of 2025, typical home values across California rise well above $750,000 statewide, with coastal cities and major metro areas climbing far beyond that. Even retirees who bought their homes decades ago aren't insulated from today's costs. Insurance premiums, maintenance, and utility bills reflect current prices, not the mortgage payments of the past. The biggest financial hit comes from income taxes. California has the highest top marginal state income tax rate in the nation, and it applies to most forms of retirement income. Withdrawals from IRAs, 401k accounts, and pensions are all taxed at the state level. Social Security benefits are exempt, but retirees who depend on investment income often face a significant annual tax burden. The overall cost of living only adds to the strain. Utility costs are high due to energy regulations and demand. Insurance rates have surged, and everyday expenses like groceries, healthcare, and transportation consistently exceed the national average. Even a modest lifestyle requires close budgeting, and unexpected costs can quickly derail long-term retirement plans. California does offer lifestyle perks that few states can rival, but those benefits come with ongoing financial pressure. The state is designed for high earners, not people living on fixed incomes. California ranks number 2 on this list not because it hides its costs, but because those costs are obvious, and they still manage to overwhelm retirees anyway. Number 1. Hawaii. Hawaii often represents the ultimate retirement fantasy. Warm temperatures, ocean views, and an unhurried lifestyle make it feel like the perfect reward after decades of work. But when finances enter the picture, Hawaii becomes the most punishing state for retirees in the entire country. Housing reveals the problem right away. By the end of 2025, typical home values across Hawaii exceed $800,000 statewide, with prices near, or above, $1 million in and around Honolulu. Renting doesn't offer much relief either. One-bedroom apartments frequently cost more than what many retirees pay each month for a mortgage on the mainland. Everyday expenses push Hawaii even further ahead of every other state. Grocery prices are dramatically higher because nearly everything has to be shipped in. Electricity rates rank among the highest in the nation, turning air conditioning and basic household comfort into ongoing financial stress. Even retirees who plan carefully often find monthly expenses unpredictable and relentless. Taxes add yet another burden. Hawaii taxes most forms of retirement income, including pensions and withdrawals from retirement accounts. While Social Security benefits are exempt, that break barely makes a dent when the overall cost of living is this high. Low property tax rates offer little comfort when nearly every other expense is inflated. Hawaii isn't expensive because of luxury. It's expensive because of isolation. Geography amplifies every cost, and retirees feel that pressure day after day. Hawaii can be paradise if money isn't an issue. For most retirees, though, it stands as the clearest example of how a dream destination can quietly turn into a financial trap. Retirement planning today isn't just about how much you manage to save. It's about where that money drains the slowest. As we move deeper into this decade, three forces continue to reshape retirement across the country: rising housing costs, tax systems that don't adjust for age or real-world living expenses, and cost increases that consistently outpace fixed incomes. The worst states to retire in the U.S. aren't always the ones people expect. Many look beautiful, stable, or exciting on the surface. But when you examine the numbers, the true retirement cost of living by state tells a very different story. Retirement should be a time of control and clarity, not a constant source of financial stress.